What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of The Effing Podcast. It's Nick Harrington, your co-host, joined by Bo Belmer. Racing is finally back. We are breaking down everything that happened in this wet race last week in the Dutch Grand Prix, talking all things that happened this last weekend. I know we're just pumped to have racing back on the calendar. The summer break is finally over. Also, this week's episode is brought to you by the new Gran Turismo movie. Gran Turismo and Sony was nice enough to actually send us some gear and some merchandise that we're going to be giving away here. If you haven't had the chance to go see this movie, I know Bo and I have gone and watched it probably 3 times. We probably have this whole thing memorized now by this point. Great film. We've got some gear that's in our hands that we're going to give away to some fans. We've got a new segment we're rolling out here, Social Media Pit Stop. Go ahead and send us on Instagram. Just DM us the most unhinged, cringiest social media post you can find that's F1 related. We'll choose one lucky winner to get a little goodie bag brought to you by Sony and Gran Turismo. All right, guys, let's do this.
We're live.
We're live.
We're live.
All right, so we're recording here.
Wait, we're live?
We're live.
We have a podcast?
We got a podcast.
Okay. What's it about?
All right, Bo, this last weekend, I feel like was the race that we finally needed to have happening during this season. It's kind of been a snoozer of a season. We've talked about this a lot. This race, sure, Max won. We didn't get the special circumstances that we would have liked to see a non-Max win, but this had, I think, everything that you would need for the season to kind of come back from summer break. We had the rain, we had the weather, we had Ferrari being Ferrari, we had some surprise podiums. It was like one of those races where you don't know where it's going to finish and how this is all going to lay out. You had strategy, pace. So, man, I loved watching this race. It was exciting. What are your thoughts before we kind of dive into everything here?
Yeah, before we get into the nitty gritty, I thought, so it was the best we could have knowing the end result ahead of time, at least with regard to the win, right? So we go into it, we know Max Verstappen's going to win. Everyone knew he was going to win. He was never not going to win. So this was as much action as we could get, knowing what the outcome was going to be, at least for P1.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen, you reminded me of, have you ever seen the movie Mother?
With the robots?
No. It's with Jennifer Lawrence.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Well, then
I'm thinking of a movie called I Am Mother.
Okay.
Which, also a good movie, but...
Shout out I Am Mother. This analogy will probably go over your head, but maybe somebody might understand this. It's a movie where, everything happens, but nothing happens. Right? And, that's what this race was for me. Everything happened, but, nothing happened because what we knew was going to happen.
What's it going to take for you? Is it going to take, Max not winning for it to be, okay.
I need a podium without Red Bull on it.
Okay, that's a big ask.
I think
it's a huge ask.
That's really what I would need to be, fully... this is the type of F1 race we want to see, just one of those.
Yeah.
Right? But all jokes aside, it was actually an awesome race. There was a lot of action. Do you want me to run through standings real quick? How do you want to rip through this?
Yeah, a lot to kind of unpack here in this race. I think, before the race even happened, wet conditions kind of throughout qualifying, throughout the race. I think let's start with the fact that Daniel Ricciardo didn't race here. He was going into, I think it was the turn 3. Oscar Piastri spun out. By the time Ricciardo got to see Piastri spun out, he either had the chance to T-bone Oscar or go headfirst Leroy Jenkins into the wall, which he decided to do. Wasn't able to get his hands off the wheel, broke his hands, which that sucks, man, because we were so fucking hyped to be Daniel Ricciardo is back, the Honey Badger, and then all of a sudden, guess what? We saw 2 races of Daniel Ricciardo, we hyped him up, and then that's it. Do you know what my first immediate thoughts, though, went? I go, thank fucking God that now they have some rando guy named Liam Lawson who has never actually raced in F1.
He is not a rando guy, but okay, go on.
Not a rando guy, but a guy that's...
You're going to make so many people mad with that, by the way. There are going to be so many keyboard warriors that are going to listen to this and be like, Liam Lawson is not a random guy.
How dare you?
He's from New Zealand, dude.
Actually, according to my first thought goes, man, that sucks because I love Daniel, but also I'm happy for this tattoo bet that we got going on because I don't think Liam Lawson is that guy to help get points for that AlphaTauri team.
I think he is. I think this is going to hurt your case.
I don't think so.
I do.
I don't think so.
Okay, so one, really quick, just going back to the actual accident, this just proves Danny Ricciardo, confirmed good guy. He has, not that any... Well, I would like to think none of the drivers would purposely crash into any of the other drivers. But when you're moving that fast and you have no time to think about it, it's all reaction time. And he chose dive into the wall as opposed to potentially hit another driver, which is in his core good dude.
That's
he
true,
took it for the
man.
team. And it was the guy who stole his seat from the team that he was
crazy.
on last year.
I didn't even think about
so,
that.
if there was any resentment going on deep in his body,
that was his chance.
Yeah, that was his subconscious, ego's opportunity to, do something about it, and he didn't.
And he did it.
Huge shout out, Danny Rick.
He got surgery on his wrist. He's got hardware on his hand. He's got hardware in there. Same surgeon that helped Lance Stroll with his
× 2. Lance
did
Stroll did both.
hands. Yeah. Just one for DR. One thing I thought was kind of interesting with this, the radio messages post, because they had the side by side before and after on Instagram. The first question that AlphaTauri asked Daniel Ricciardo was, "Daniel, are you okay?" The first question that McLaren asked Oscar Piastri was, "Is the car okay?"
I didn't notice that.
Yeah. So McLaren, Zach Brown, they don't care about the drivers.
Well, to be fair, though, AlphaTauri knows that the car is not okay because it's a piece of shit.
It's probably better.
They actually just don't care if the car's okay because they already know the answer. It's a little bit of both, I think.
Yeah.
No, that was definitely leading into the actual race, kind of the biggest story that happened.
Yep.
I disagree with your Liam Lawson take, though, especially as it pertains to our bet, because I think Danny Rick is out there to just have a good time and kind of save his career, but he's already had a very successful career. Liam Lawson has a lot to prove.
True.
This is his chance to step up and be like, I deserve an F1 seat. So he's got to go balls to the wall now to get it.
True.
So I actually like my odds here.
I don't, but that's okay. That's good. That's why I took this bet in the first place. I knew this was going to happen, and I knew Liam Lawson would come in here and not do shit.
No, I think he did all right. He finished ahead of Yuki. Which,
he did.
Granted, there was time he did on the scoreboard, but he didn't in the sense that Yuki finished 12th but had time penalty. So
yeah,
it is what it is.
He technically finished.
He technically finished in front of him though.
Yeah, damn time penalties. I think let's start just kind of at the beginning of this race.
Sure.
Because kind of the whole topic is formation laps going on. Everyone's talking about what's going to happen with this weather. Everyone's predicting rain 3 laps. All of a sudden, that rain is here by lap 1. Everyone started on slick tires, either softs, and I think Lewis is the only one that started on intermediates.
He was the only one that started on mediums.
Yeah, mediums. Thank you, not intermediates. Yeah, and first off, Hamilton didn't get a Q3, so didn't get into Q3. So he started a pretty poor start for him. But kind of where this whole race started, it was kind of if you timed your pit stops correctly, going from slicks to wets back to slicks, you were going to have a good race.
Yeah.
And we saw the teams that did not pit early onto slicks, how that really punished them throughout the race. I think we start here, though, with the first action that we saw, Ferrari, Charles Leclerc goes in to make a pit stop. And guess what? The tires aren't fucking there.
Yeah.
The crew's out there oh, yeah, okay. Wait, are we changing tires? What do we do?
Yeah, so their explanation for this was allegedly they had called for him to pit. He said no over the radio, so they weren't expecting him to come in, and then he did come in, and so they were thinking that he had said no, but he came in anyway, so the tires weren't ready. But holy shit, you guys. I mean, holy shit.
I get the explanation because it makes sense. He's not coming in. But also, don't you just think if you're Ferrari, you put your hand out, you go, oh, I guess it's fucking raining.
We should have the tires ready.
Maybe we should just be ready, just in case. Maybe he doesn't pit this lap. Maybe it's the next lap. But, you know what? Other cars are coming into pit. Let's open up our fucking eyeballs, see what's going on in the
and just have them ready. Just have them ready.
Because
it wasn't even they were sitting there and they had to go grab them right there.
No.
It was a 10-second pit stop.
Yes.
It was forever.
It was so bad. And also, he had front wing damage. They didn't change out his front wing there either.
I know. I don't know. How has he not just lost his mind?
And okay,
do you think he's just giving up on it though? And I don't mean giving up as in not trying to win, but I mean he just expects shit now.
I think he has to. As a driver, how do you not just expect to be on Ferrari and bad shit's going to happen to you? He did allegedly renew his contract for a worth of 184 million euros, which is the largest. I don't know what that conversion rate is, probably a couple bucks, but
Logan's wondering, so let me just go find out for him really quick.
Yeah. So he renewed his contract allegedly with Ferrari. So he's locked in there with the largest contract of all time for a driver. So he's got more of this to look forward to, of just agonizing himself and putting needles in his fingertips, I'm trying to think of better things that I would do than signing a contract with Ferrari and probably giving myself a paper cut in the webbing of my hands.
It's like a
is up
saw
on that
trap,
list.
like Saw 10, Saw X or whatever is coming out in October, and one of the traps is going to be like you have to drive for Ferrari. F1, but Ferrari. It's like the bad luck Brian meme, only bad luck Leclerc, and it's F1 driver. Ferrari.
I feel like it's always Leclerc too, where the shit happens. Like Sainz had a decent race, man.
Yeah, it seems to always be Leclerc. By the way, 180 million euros is 195 million real dollars.
Wow,
not this fake
euro
dollar stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So good for him for getting paid. Bad for him.
That probably makes it a little bit easier.
It does.
Yeah.
Going home on a bet of money.
I mean, I'll drive for Ferrari for 195 million.
I probably would too.
Yeah, I would think about it at least.
Yeah. And then I'd probably buy like a nice mattress or something. You know, like a Tempur-Pedic.
You could probably buy a lot of nice mattresses.
Yeah. I would get the one where like you like have the glass of wine on there and you can jump and
and then it doesn't move. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like a room of those mattresses.
I'm like, hey guys, check this out. Like wine isn't falling over.
That's wow.
Is that a flex or what?
Yeah, I don't hate it. It's not a flex.
So the Ferrari, I mean, that was kind of like first thing that I saw. I also noticed that like right away, the teams that pit early, instantly they had pace right away.
Yeah.
And then it kind of seemed like these teams that didn't pit right away, they were almost like trying to prove a point that they didn't pit and we're just gonna like stay out there on slicks when clearly like these other teams were making like 20 seconds a lap where it's like, hey man, you pit now, you put on intermediate tires, you're gonna need that time back right away. Teams that didn't pit early, Mercedes and McLaren were the two for me that I saw them stay out. Also Williams, but Williams pulled it off somehow. Mercedes and McLaren, they were the teams that like stayed out there, didn't pit until it was too late, and their races were ruined from that. Like they just weren't, the rest of the drive, Lando started in second, and then I think he finished like 6th or 7th because the rest of his drive turned into a recovery drive because they didn't pull him into pit.
Well, it completely destroyed George Russell's race as well. He had the radio comm where he literally said,
I was projecting a podium.
Yeah, I was projecting a podium. What happened? You know, literally, it's like he got whacked in the face and was like, what happened? Yeah. You know, like he was like genuinely surprised. Imagine. I can't remember exactly how late into the race that was, but imagine you're at checker flag and you just realize like, oh, I'm in P17. Dude,
I was projecting a podium.
He thinks he's in podiuming the entire time.
He starts walking up to the celebration and they're like, no, like that's not you.
Yeah. Well, I always think about that with qualifying because they're not seeing a board. So typically at the end of each qualifying session, they'll finish their last hot lap and the team will say like
P2.
They'll be like Max P1. And he'll be like, yeah, obviously. And then they'll be like Leclerc, car's dead. No, but they'll like, you know, they'll tell him.
Yeah.
And imagine, like, this is kind of like that. Like, he's finishing the race and he's like, oh, I'm fucking P17.
Yeah, by the way, just a heads up. Yeah, well, also he, that to me was like one of the most insane radio messages I've ever heard. I think most of the insane messages come from George Russell, you know, because everyone knows.
Are you gonna make me defend George Russell again?
I'm not a George Russell fan, and this is exactly why. Because he's whining about he was projecting a podium. Like, look, it's a fucking race,
like,
bro.
Oh, the math said that I should be in P2 right now. Yeah, no, I get it. You mentioned Williams, by the way, and you said that their strategy helped their race. Well, it didn't help both of their races because our boy Logie Sarge DNF yet again.
Yeah, but qualified 10th. So, like, I think when the qualifying came out, the Williams cars, Albon I think qualified 4th. I want to say, and then Logan Sargent qualified 10th. And so talking about projecting a podium. They were projecting to have a really good fucking race. Like their car was set up super well for this track. So
here's a question though.
What's up? Yeah.
So are we worried about Sargent's seat now at this point?
I would say no. You know, the big stat that I was tracking was how many first lap overtakes was he going to have.
Oh, I was going to ask
this. It's probably hard. Did he overtake and you wanted?
I don't know. I was going to ask if you counted it or not.
So actually, I've got this right here. I've got this graphic called Race Start Chaos, which this truly was Race Start Chaos. That shows from lap 1 to lap 5 where everyone finished. This greatly suited Red Bull because Checo started P7 because he qualifies like he's fucking blind. And he ended up, after this all went in, they pit him right away. He was out running first for like most of this race until, I'm going way off topic. We'll talk about this later. Zhou, lap 5, was running in 2nd place.
Yeah.
Zhou Guanyu, which is fucking crazy, man.
Also DNF'd, by the way.
Yeah. Gasly in 3rd, Verstappen 4th by lap 5. Who were we talking about? Logan Sargent. By lap 5, he was in 20th. He was in dead last.
Okay, so he was probably in first after lap 1 though.
Before lap 5, he would have been.
He definitely went from 10 to 1 and then back, right? And nobody fact checked that. That's what happened.
Our first lap.
Yeah,
boy.
definitely don't go watch the race back. I know that Yuki was running 4th at one point.
Yeah,
like relatively deep into the race, and they had another just like. Their strategy is just so bad.
Their strategy was so bad.
It's so bad, man.
They pit early. He started the race.
He was one
17th.
of the biggest beneficiaries of the early pit. They pit right away. I think it was lap 2 or 3, maybe. Yeah,
and dude, if you're one of those teams that like has nothing to lose, like a low team, why don't you risk it? Like what Zhou Guanyu did, Yuki Tsunoda. Like all these teams that pit early, it's like at what point roll the fucking dice? And so I kudos to them. What their issue was though is when the track dried up, they put him on slicks, and they never changed his tires after that.
Yeah.
And like they just like kept him on slicks forever.
They made the early pit before everyone else, and then they didn't do it again the second time when everyone else did. And then it was like, okay, well, you already made the good move, do it again.
Yeah, keep it going.
Like, what do you have to lose? You literally have nothing to lose other than me getting a damn tattoo. So stop fucking up.
When I saw that he was running 4th or 5th, I was like, dude, this tattoo made it. I'm fucked.
I almost texted you. I literally like was holding my phone at one point, and I was going to text you and be like, yo, if he finishes above P7,
they're probably already up.
Yeah, like they might already leapfrog Haas.
Yes.
So, he only needed 6 points.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I know.
Which isn't going to happen.
I should have sent the text because it would have been a lot funnier now. But it obviously was not the case. But
yeah. So the teams that get benefited, Alfa Romeo with Zhou Guanyu, Tsunoda helped him a ton. Gasly helped him a ton as well. Sergio Perez, the teams that got fucked, we kind of talked about this. McLaren, Norris at 7 and Piastri at 8 went to 12th and 14th. The Mercedes just decided to fire the race strategist too. Russell went from 3rd down to 16th.
George Russell just had a fever dream for the rest of the race, apparently.
He woke up and was like, this sucks.
Whoa.
So yeah, I mean like chaotic start of the race, which is super fun for me to see. And then like everything kind of like settled down a little bit. Rain went away, kind of went back to like normal I would say mid-race. And then all of a sudden, Mr. Weatherman starts chirping again, and it says, hey, it's going to rain. I don't know, a little Family Guy reference there, maybe.
That's what he sounds like.
Yeah, it's going to rain. And we got buckets of rain towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
Which we should talk about towards the end of the race.
Don't you always love in F1 when it starts raining, the scientific method to determine what the team should do is literally all the teams just going like this.
Yeah.
Like, they pan to the paddock and literally all the teams are just like,
yeah, it's like we're sticking our hands out for everyone that like can't see what we're doing.
Yeah, they have literally like the most advanced car technology in the world, and they're all like, "We need to determine if it's raining or not."
Yeah. Hand out.
Yeah, it's so good,
dude. Okay, one of the commentators said this that they should hire someone to go sit in a boat and let them know.
Tell them if rain's coming.
Tell them if rain's coming and how long
hate that.
the rain's going to be and how heavy it is.
I'm assuming that Toto and Horner already have that. Just a rain guy. Should we be the rain guys? Listen,
that job sounds first off horrible.
No,
you're in a poncho.
It's fine
in the middle of the sea.
Well, okay,
you have no idea what's happening in the race.
By us, I meant Jake.
Yeah, we'll send Jake out there on like a little dinghy.
Yeah, Jake, you want to be the rain guy?
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, poncho, maybe some water wings.
I'll
sit out there and. Yeah,
so I did hear through the grapevine, Jake, that you watched the race this weekend. Is that true? Is that factual?
I did. I watched half of it. Yeah.
Okay.
30, I think 35,
he watched 3 laps.
And up. Yeah.
That counts.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you give us your quick take before we dive back into it?
Yeah. It was good. It was interesting. The end was fun. Well, before they like red flagged and then they stopped. Like then they restarted. I watched like the last couple laps, but it was good.
You watched the whole race, guys.
I mean, I wanted Lando to do better, my boy,
same.
but he sucked. And
no, P7's not too bad. I mean, they're fighting for podiums.
It did suck. He did better than Yuki. So.
All right. And Jake's over. Hit the mute button.
Yeah.
Canceled.
That was good, though. I liked it.
One thing that... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say one other thing. We were talking about the chaos. This was a new record for highest number of overtakes. There were 186 overtakes.
Wow.
Throughout the race.
That's insane.
Yeah. Well, and I know at one point, and it was largely because of like the chaos with tire changes and going back and forth. At one point, I was watching the board on the left side of the screen, and it was just flip, 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 flip. Like every 3 seconds, somebody was flipping somebody, and it was so chaotic. So yeah, that was cool.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that is nice.
It is
Love
much better
seeing
to see
man.
that than it is to see, like a
Monaco.
Monaco, where there's literally 2
One.
overtakes and it's in the first lap and it's Logan Sargent.
Yeah,
Going from
yeah.
P18 to P16.
Or it's one overtake or undertake the entire race.
yeah.
Or what? No, undercut or
Undercut,
overcut.
yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so let's talk about this because rain comes back. We've got monsoon, heavy rain, and everyone's on intermediate tires. Everyone pits for intermediate tires. The only guy when the rain came back on that pit for wets was Esteban Ocon, which was the right call for him to pit for wets. But then immediately everyone on intermediates, a couple cars crashed. Zhou Guanyu was one of them that crashed, which when they showed him in the gravel trap next to the fence, immediately I got flashbacks of Silverstone 3 years ago. Like, it's impossible not to see that car next to a fence and go,
I'm sure he did
is he
too.
upside down? But like, F1, I feel like it's kind of in a weird place when it comes to wet tires, where it's like they almost don't need the wet tires because by the time it gets to the point where you need to have the wets, they just red flag the race because of the rain. And so it's like, I don't know. I don't think we're ever going to see a race, unfortunately, that like is going to get wetter or slipperier than what this was. Because if they
Without having a red flag,
it's just going to be red flagged right away.
That's a good take. That's interesting. And
Yeah.
I think you're right. It's actually like a finer line having like running wet tires. Like that's actually the finest line.
Yes.
Is wet tires versus cancel because of weather.
Yes.
Is the finest line. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
So-
like by that time, like the drivers complain about seeing, they can't see anything. There's like they're hydroplaning everywhere. But because like I feel like if that race wouldn't have been red flagged, it got red flagged because of the crashes, and then they red flagged it because of the rain. But if they were to just let that resume, Ocon would have, I think, been in such a great position to score a podium here because he was the only driver on wets. And I remember when I was watching this and I saw the rain coming back on, everyone pitting for intermediates. The commentators are just saying heavy rain coming, heavier than what it was before. I'm like, why the fuck aren't these drivers going on wets? Like, why aren't these teams that have nothing to lose putting on wet tires to like see if something can happen? I guess it didn't matter because it got red flagged anyways. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts and take on that.
Just quick note as well. You'd mentioned Zhou Guanyu and Alfa Romeo. Hey, did you know that Valtteri Bottas was in this race?
No,
Yeah.
he did. Oh, I didn't know that.
He drove a car. He was there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I
kind of forgot.
don't think he was.
He could have like not been, and I don't know that it would have mattered a whole lot. But
Maybe the most irrelevant race by Valtteri Bottas of all time.
yeah, Mr. Irrelevant for this week.
Oh, that's a good award, Mr.
Mr. Irrelevant. Oh yeah, maybe we should keep that in our arsenal.
Yeah.
And I mean, we gave Bottas a lot of high praise last week for the
Yeah.
off the track stuff. Awesome dude.
Great dude.
Great hang.
Great hang.
But man, he could have really not been out there, and I wouldn't have noticed. But so he was there.
Yeah.
That was the thing that happened.
He was there.
Is Gasly like good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
It's a third, right?
got gas in his name.
Yeah.
Well, when I think Gasly, I think of a Ghast from Minecraft. That's what I
Wow.
think of. So
I don't know what that is.
Gen Z.
Gassed?
Do you
It's
know
like
what
I know what a
that
gas
as
is.
well?
Yeah.
It's not a creeper.
It's like
It's
no,
like
it's like a ghost like floating.
I mean,
pipe.
everything in Minecraft's a box. So
Are they like the white ones in the nether?
Yeah.
in the-
Also,
in the
I don't
lava
really know.
space?
I'm
Isn't
actually not that versed,
Ghastly's a
but-
Pokemon.
That's
too.
what my mind
Oh, it
goes.
is.
Yeah.
Who
Also,
turns into Haunter, who turns into
The-
Gengar.
Gengar
who
is
is the
sick.
baddest Pokemon of all time.
Gengar is super cool. I don't
Not
know about
unlike a-
baddest Pokemon of all time.
Yeah, I feel like,
But
like if we're talking like
you
baddest.
mean, you mean like bad,
like
bad,
he's
like,
a badass.
No. You mean
But
like,
when I said
you mean
baddest,
It's the
like
hottest
he's
Pokemon
like,
of
like,
all
like
time.
Yeah, he's bad.
he's a baddie.
Yeah, exactly. That's not what I meant to say, but that's how it came off.
I'm gonna
And so
get-
I was correcting myself.
I'm gonna get a Gengar T-shirt, and you're just gonna
Who do you
be,
think is the-
you're just gonna be riled up the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Who do you think would be the baddest Pokemon?
Uh,
Chansey?
I don't know any Pokemon.
What?
Really?
I'm
Oh,
not a
that's too
Pokemon.
bad.
boo.
Didn't grow up with Pokemon.
Yeah, you were a little young for it.
Yeah.
You
No,
were
a lot of my friends did.
Yeah, but when you were like of Pokemon age, it was already not as popular.
Yeah.
Like it was like super popular because it came out when we were like 5 years old.
Yeah.
And then I think it like died down, at least in the US. And then there was a huge resurgence. And I
Mhm.
think you were probably in that lull period where like other
Yeah.
things were cool.
I wasn't like into that stuff though. Like some people did Bakugans too.
I don't know what
Oh.
that is. I don't know what the
did a little
baddest
bit, but-
baddie Pokemon is though, but
Yeah.
it's probably Gengar, honestly.
Yeah, Kangar is a baddie.
Back to Jake's
the
question,
race.
though.
Yeah, Gasly.
Yeah, no,
Is
he's
he,
a
like,
solid. Yeah, he's solid. I mean, he used to drive for Red Bull.
Oh, I
It
didn't
was
know that.
it was a pretty short-lived
Stint.
stint.
Drives for
Yeah,
Alpine?
similar.
Alpine?
Albon also used to drive for them. He just for context for you, Jake, Albon also used to drive for Red Bull. Also a short take.
Yeah, is he
stint.
at Alpine right now?
Yes,
Gasly?
but he was
Okay.
previously with AlphaTauri prior to being with Alpine and did fine.
He won
Won
a
a
race,
race.
3 years ago at Monza.
Yeah,
He won a race,
which is pretty
which is
crazy.
insane. Man.
Yeah. No, it really is. So he's solid,
He's
but I
good.
would say he's like the prototypical like mid-tier, like upper mid-tier driver. Like
Yeah.
I don't think he will ever compete for a championship.
No, because I don't think he kind of had that chance and he crumbled. But also,
Yeah.
I think like anyone that's driving with Max as the number one driver is going to crumble. And Checo's not worried about that, but I think any other driver is worried about that. And I think that's
Checo
what
is-
happened with Albon. That's what happened with Gasly.
Just to reiterate though, Checo is definitely
no,
not
especially
worried about
after
that.
this race,
Yeah.
where he had a 5-second time penalty, which cost him a podium. He's not worried.
Yeah, and he also qualified like I believe well over a second slower than his teammate
Mhm.
Max Verstappen.
Mhm.
Yeah,
No.
literally couldn't think of a reason to be worried. at all.
no, and he's not. We've got that confirmed.
Yeah, confirmed. But no, Gasly's pretty good. What I thought was funny with Gasly, what I thought was funny with Gasly back on the podium did you see the memes going around where it's the guy celebrating, like spraying champagne
Oh, in
over
his
his
own-
face and like kissing the girl and it has the medal and then it zooms out and it's third place?
Yeah.
That was Gasly.
He was his radio message after when he was in third
So hype.
was like the purest joy I think I've ever heard from any F1 driver. Because like he does not belong on that podium with that car. And the fact that they pulled that off was so fucking cool. And I just think Gasly's a good guy. Like he's an easygoing dude. He's cool. And like seeing him on the podium, man, like I fucking love
He
that.
feels like a good hang, probably.
I think he'd be a great hang.
Yeah, but you know what though? I feel like he might be that guy in your friend group who's like too cool. You know, he doesn't strike me as he's trying to be cool all the time. It's just the stuff that he does and like wears. Like he just is cool.
Yeah, and
it's
it's
almost
annoying.
Yeah, it's annoying how cool he is.
But it's like he doesn't mean it.
no, he's just cool.
Yeah.
So like you go out with him and you have like your group of dudes and you're trying to meet like a group of women at a bar and you already know you're losing to him because he's just cool.
He's a guy you don't want to bring around
Yeah,
because
'cause he's too cool.
It's
Yeah.
like if you have your best friends and then you introduce them to Pierre,
they're now
they're
his best
now
friends.
his friends,
Yes.
not yours.
Yes.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, he's just a cool
I
guy.
wonder if that's hurt him at all in life, you know?
Yeah, it must be really tough.
Being too cool.
It must be really hard.
Poor guy.
Actually, I actually feel pretty bad for him, Pierre.
I do feel bad for him because when he was on the podium celebrating, they had like the podium, they had like the big TV in the background, they had his face on there. Below it, they had like the drivers' names and like cool graphics and whatnot. They had the wrong name. They had Esteban Ocon as the graphics on the screen.
That's
below,
tough.
Which is hard.
He's also French, so
They're both
That
French.
sucks.
They probably just said Alpine French guy,
Yeah.
50-50.
do you feel worse for Gasly because he's super cool or because he's French?
Ooh, French.
I can make fun of French people, right?
Yeah, I think French people like.
Is it fair game? I can make fun of French people.
Ouais, sure.
Shit.
Oui.
Oui.
Oui, oui.
I mean, I probably have some French relative somewhere, so
Yeah,
yeah.
you do.
It's the only place I've ever been where people were like just mean to me. Just
Dude,
because.
they hate Americans.
Yeah,
They-
well,
they hate-
I
they
kind
hate
of
Americans.
get it, honestly, but I kind of get it.
I get it, but I don't. You know, like I feel like they're just kind of pompous towards Americans, and but you know they're cool. They're liberated.
I always think of the guy from Talladega Nights. He's like,
oh yeah, Gaston.
Vicky, you
Yeah.
made me spill my macchiato.
He's
like
definitely
he's like
French.
drinking. That's basically Pierre Gasly.
Yeah,
So that's cool.
yeah.
The last cool thing that I just wanted to bring up was that Steve Carell was there just
Oh, yeah, I saw
watching the
this.
race. And he got photobombed by the king of the Netherlands, which is just kind of sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sad that I wouldn't have known that was the king of the Netherlands unless someone pointed it out.
Yeah, why
You know-
why do you guys still have kings and queens?
I don't
Why
know.
why are we doing this
I
still?
get it like in England. you
No,
know?
why are we doing this
I-
still? Didn't they lose like 1776? Like
yeah, I don't
isn't it
even
over?
know really where the Netherlands are, to be honest. So
Like geographically?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like it's like Africa, right?
Yeah.
I didn't,
Netherlands,
know that,
yeah.
I didn't even know they had kings and queens there.
Yeah. No, you know like that island off of Africa?
Yeah, Madagascar.
Yeah, no, Netherlands.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
The same place.
I get those confused then.
Yeah, I mean, we went to American public school, so we're obviously super good at
Yeah.
geometry, which is
yeah.
what we're talking about here.
Geology.
Geology,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Sorry, study
Yeah.
of rocks. Where the rocks are on the planet. Yeah, that adds up. Yeah, no, for sure.
Okay, what else we got here, man? I want to talk about McLaren real quick.
Okay, what
because
you got?
that to me was super disappointing for McLaren. They've been on the come up. They're kind of the team that kind of came out of nowhere to really show themselves as that like next best constructor. They qualified super hot. We predicted podiums. Both of us did for Piastri or for Lando, one of the two. And they really just fucked up their race strategy this week. So just like, it was tough this weekend to be a McLaren fan. I think it was tough to be a Ferrari fan this weekend. And also tough to be a Mercedes fan. Just because like those were strategy calls that the drivers themselves had decent drives. They just like were kind of at mercy of like what their team told them to do.
So what if I told you that McLaren sneaking up on Ferrari, which we thought we were seeing a couple weeks ago, has now actually turned into Alpine sneaking up on McLaren?
I believe that because McLaren wasn't sneaking up until like 3/4 of the way through the first half of the season.
Yeah, so McLaren currently has 111 points in the constructors. Alpine has 73, so a spread of 38. Ferrari has 201, McLaren 111, so a spread larger than 38. And yeah, they are falling kind of out of contention there. Meanwhile, Aston Martin in P3, 215, Ferrari at 201, 14 points for those two teams. That could be one or two races,
Definitely.
2 races, really, to make that flip happen.
Where's that delta from Mercedes to Alpine? Or, excuse me, to
Aston Martin.
Aston Martin.
Yep, it's Mercedes 255, Aston Martin 215, so 40 points.
Okay.
Which is still a pretty healthy spread. And Red Bull with, let me just make sure I get this right.
2,000?
6,100. How many feet are in a mile?
Not 825,000,
No,
600
600 minutes. No,
That's
not
minutes
that.
in a year.
How many square feet are in an acre? You should know this.
2,642. That's
the feet in a mile. Yeah. No, that's the feet in a mile. Isn't this the square feet in an acre 43,200 and
1492? No, that's when Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
Yeah. We do actually know.
Yeah, the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria.
No.
Which imagine how pissed he would have been being like, I made it around the world. And it's like, yeah, joke's on you, dude. You're in fucking Puerto Rico.
I was close. I don't know what you just said, but I'm just going to skip past it.
We're talking about Columbus.
Oh, got it.
I don't think it's important.
It was 43,560 square feet. Anyway, yeah, Red Bull is really good at racing, and they have 540 points.
Yeah.
So that's that.
And also, Max winning this race, again, I know like we talk about Max and how good he is. For all the shit that went down, for Max to still finish first is really fucking impressive.
Yeah.
And he just tied the record for most consecutive wins.
Yeah, we actually just skipped
We
right over
haven't talked
that.
about
We haven't
that.
even mentioned that yet.
Yeah.
Well, it was kind of expected, but yeah, he has now tied the record with Sebastian Vettel.
Mhm.
So this week's awesome. This is going to be huge to see. It's got a chance to see some really cool history, which, again, at this point, I'm rooting for it to happen just because witnessing history is always cool. On that note, this race reminded me, relative to other sports, there is just so many things that happen in an F1 race that you like broadcasters and like the coverage cannot possibly capture it all. And I was thinking about that relative to like an American football game or a basketball game where you're seeing every single thing that happens that goes on in the game. In this, there's so many, like we didn't even hear Lance Stroll's name, but he was out there, allegedly. And his team was doing stuff, right? And like we didn't really, I mean, unless if you're, doing the whole F1 package thing and specifically following them, but then you can't
have
do everything.
no idea. It's such a good point. Yeah, because like also like people gripe a lot about how the broadcasting sucks and they don't show overtakes sometimes and they focus on one driver too much, but it's like that's a really hard fucking job.
Oh yeah.
To like make sure that you're showing the right moment at the right time to like people, like no matter what, that person is going to get shit on no matter how good or bad a job they do.
Yeah, my wife, by the way, like cannot stand the broadcasting.
Oh, I love those broadcasters.
Oh, me too. I love it. But she's like, they're just yelling.
A lot of screaming.
All the time. There's just so much yelling. And she's right, but I get like hyped up. I like a good yell. Like, it's kind of like, do motivational speeches work on you?
No, I think they're bullshit.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. They work on me. Now, I know what they're doing, and like, I have enough awareness to understand like what they're doing and the fact that they're kind of like BSing to like get a rise out of you, but a really good one will still get a rise out of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay, I see. Like, I take it back. Like,
like it'll pump me up, even though I know that it's designed to do that. It'll work. It's like good marketing.
It's great marketing.
I
shouldn't like let this emotionally get to me. I know it's designed to emotionally get to me,
but it does.
But I'm gonna let it.
Like I'll let it anyway. Yeah, but that's how I feel about this. Like when they're really like, bah, and I'm like, bah.
The same. Yeah. But also like it's genuine. I think from the broadcasters. Like sure they're creating a product, but like there's so many people that would love to broadcast F1 where like they're going to choose the best broadcasters
feel
that
like
like have the energy and the passion for it.
It would be one of the hardest things,
It'd be
I
so
think, to
tough,
cover.
man.
Yeah, I've done live broadcasting before.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you about this?
No.
So 2 years in a row, this would have been in, like 2016 and 17 maybe. My buddy Kyle and I did the live broadcast for the Wisconsin State High School lacrosse championship, the state championship. We did the live air broadcast. So we did the play-by-play and the color commentary. It was so funny. The first year we did it, we were in college at the time. We had no idea what we were doing, man. And I wonder if I could find clips of it. I'll try to see if I can find them. We were throwing out like the most ridiculous lines and stuff just because it was so funny. And it was on like, Wisconsin local TV. And then the second year had us do the girls championship as well. And we didn't know anything about girls lacrosse.
Yeah, the rules are totally different.
Totally different. Yeah, for people listening, they're like completely different sports,
You
basically.
can't, no contact.
They don't even wear gear. Like, it's different gear. Like, there's a million different rules. And so we were trying to do, like, the play-by-play and color commentary and had no idea what was going on. And
That sounds like a bit,
so,
actually.
dude, it was so funny.
So it's an SNL skit.
Yeah. Well, and luckily, that game ended up being, I can't even remember what the score was, but ended up being a blowout. And so it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
We had no idea
but, like, you
what
know
we were
enough
doing.
about lacrosse.
Yeah,
you
so
just
we
don't
were
know,
trying to like make it relevant. Oh, it was so great. But anyway, back to the point with F1, it has got to be the hardest sport
It's gonna
to
be tough,
call.
man. There was one thing that pissed me off though with this race.
Yeah, what was
if we go
that?
like TV broadcasting wise, is the race starts and there's so much chaoticness that happens when the race starts. And then like they wait for the race to kind of like slow down a little bit. Then they do the replay of the start of the race. And I feel like when they went back to do the replay of the start of the race, it went on way too long as these teams were still duking it out. And I'm like,
Yeah.
can we just watch the live fucking race? Like, this is still getting sorted out right now. I know we're missing overtakes. I do want to see the replay, but like, I guarantee if we wait 5 more minutes, that replay footage, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, let's just let this like buff out a little bit before we just dive into the restart.
Yeah, that's fair. It gets a little dicey when there's like red flags and
Yeah.
cautions and everything, but also like them killing 45 minutes of time when nothing is happening.
Yeah,
is always, that's always
such
pretty
a
funny
grind,
too.
dude.
That's
Those
what they
Dutch
should
fans-
hire. That's what they should hire us for.
Is to kill
We'll just jump in to kill the dead air.
Yeah, I would do that in a
We'll be
second,
like,
dude.
Yo, Dutch fans, which Pokemon's the biggest baddie?
Make some noise. Those Dutch fans were going crazy though. The entire
Oh.
red flag. They was like at a rave, and Martin Garrix was there,
Yeah, what was
waving the
deal with
checkered
that?
flag.
They were like dancing.
They were going nuts, man.
Like, bro, it's like raining there in ponchos. They're like,
Yeah, I
kids.
feel like
Also, we had when the race resumed after the red flag, we had a pretty cool shootout that happened. We had like a 7-lap from start to finish, kind of like a little mini sprint race where like I thought Alonso had a chance because that first lap he had pretty good pace on Max, and I was like maybe there's a way that Alonso's going to get around Max, and there was just no way. I thought Alonso's post race interview was pretty funny though when they're interviewing him like, Alonso, how's it feel? And he goes, yeah, I would have finished first, but I knew if I would have beat Max at his home Grand Prix, they wouldn't have let me out of here, so I finished second.
I love it.
Okay, got a stat for you. All
Okay.
right. I want you to guess. This was before the Dutch Grand Prix, okay? Pre-Dutch GP. What driver has spent the fewest laps outside of the top 10?
Max Verstappen.
He's number 2.
Okay.
He has 7 laps out of the top 10.
Say it again. What was it?
Fewest laps outside of the top 10.
Yeah. Fernando Alonso has 1 lap
Really?
outside of the top 10
One?
pre-Dutch Grand Prix.
Wow.
Yeah. Stroll has 276.
How many's Logan Sargent have? Just for the record.
Every race
All of
lap
them?
combined.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure. Wow, that is a crazy stat. I
Yeah.
did not know that. That's interesting. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I
That's
didn't
one of
either
those
until I
stats
read
that I
it.
don't know what to do with that information, but I'm glad that I know it.
Yeah. I think it just shows like his consistency, how he's been performing in a car that I think he's outdriving that car. But he's Mr. Cool, calm, collected.
Can you give me a quick, you want to do our award show for the
Yeah.
week?
Should we start with our P1?
Yeah, who's your P1?
I got a couple, so I got like 3 that I chose just in case you were gonna go first. But P1 of the week, Pierre Gasly. The fact
that was what I was going to take.
the fact that he podiumed in that car, the hype he had a phenomenal drive. He wanted it so bad. The only reason he got up there too was he finished behind Checo, but Checo had a 5-second grid penalty, which we didn't talk about this. I don't think we did. I was going to talk about it. How about when Red Bull undercut Checo with Max.
Yeah.
That was a wild fucking call.
Yeah, but
and the commentators the whole time are like, was that a Sergio Perez call to not pit? Was that a Red Bull call to make Max pit? Clearly, it was a Red Bull call to have Max pit. That, like, to me, typically, like, if you're the driver that's in before you're their teammate, you get strategy priority. And they made a choice, and they announced that choice that said, Sergio, we know that you're beating Max, but we're going to give the better strategy to Max anyways. And that was, to me, Red Bull saying, Max, you're our guy.
Well,
not like they haven't done that anyways. But
for this, though, with the record in play, if there was any opportunity for Max to win, they were going to make sure that it happens.
Yeah.
Like, imagine the deal.
I think it's just like a dick move.
Imagine the deal that Max...
If you're Checo there, you're like, this team doesn't give a fuck about
Imagine
me,
the deal that Max probably cut with Checo under the table. Like, Checo, if you have the opportunity to mess somebody else up or yourself, so I win this race, I will give you all the enchiladas. Like, literally, like, just, I don't know, what do Dutch people like? All the wooden shoes.
All the
how many pairs of wooden shoes
all the
you
Dutch
want?
letters.
Yeah.
Like the
all of them.
Pastries. I don't think Max cares about the record that much.
Oh, I disagree.
I don't think he really cares, personally.
You have to care. You can't not care.
I think he cares about winning. And so if that means that he gets that record because he's winning, great. I don't think he really cares about the record. But, like, yeah, to me, that was just like a dick move. But, okay, so
for sure.
P1, Pierre Gasly, who you got?
My P1 is Liam Lawson. Dude,
I had him too.
He had a really great drive. That was his first race. It was chaotic AF, dude. Like, it was all over the place. There were some hilarious memes out there of, like, you know, showing up for your first day of work and the building's on fire. Like, it was unbelievable. He had a great drive. I think this is, I mean, the next couple of weeks are going to be really telling, and we don't really know how long Ricciardo's going to be out yet, so how long he'll be in the seat.
Or if he's even going to come back in the seat.
I would imagine that he will, but I mean, maybe not. But I do think that this is a huge opportunity for Lawson to earn his seat somewhere else, and there's going to be opportunities there. And so it was a very impressive showing for a first drive.
Yep.
Ferrari of the week. You can't pick Ferrari.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, fine.
I'm gonna pick Ferrari for the Ferrari of the week. We talked about him enough. Just embarrassing clown show of a team. I don't know how Sainz decides to go home and wear Ferrari gear. He probably, honestly, when he goes home and puts on Red Bull gear just to make himself feel better. But yeah, Ferrari is my Ferrari of the week. Who you got?
George Russell. For apparently having no idea where he stood.
For a projected podium.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it should be George Russell or just the Mercedes team for having a projected podium and ending in P17 with no major incidents.
Dude, I wonder, like, when he says projected podium, do you think pre-race they say, okay, here's our strategy and here's where we're projecting you're going to finish? Like, that's probably what he thinks.
Yeah, no, I think they literally probably do that.
I would love for him to say, like, what's happened to the season? I was projected to finish first in the championship. Like, something so stupid.
No, here's what he did. And I'm assuming you can do this in the F1 games. You know how in, like, Madden games, you can just auto play a game? Like, you can just watch the computer play against itself? Yeah. So I think he just put together the Dutch GP in F1 23 and just simmed it. And he was like, I took third in the race.
Or even better, he turned difficulty to level 1.
Yes.
And then ran it himself.
Yes. And then he was like, I was projected to get on the podium. Yeah. That's how he did it.
This?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. All right, shake and bakes of the week.
Yeah.
You got a good one here to start us off?
I do have a good one. My shake and bake of the week is Danny Ricciardo with his inner conscience.
That's a good one.
For not driving directly into Oscar.
For not deciding to kill Oscar if he had the chance, because he did.
It's my shake and bake of the week are Danny Ricciardo and his intrusive thoughts and not letting them win, because he chose to drive into a stone wall at like 100 miles an hour in a split-second decision rather than crashing into the guy and the team that took his spot in horrible fashion last summer.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Like literally a year ago. So
that's a good one.
That's what I got.
I think this is kind of a hard one to choose a good shake and bake. I'll go with I'm gonna go with Alpine here because I think they both outkicked their coverage on this one. Gasly podium. He was my P1 of the week, my Pierre 1 of the week, and then Ocon finishing on the points too. And I think he would have had a better race if they didn't red flag it going on wets there at the end. So I like Alpine for a little shake and bake action.
I have an honorable mention shake and bake.
Yeah, please.
I got one too, actually.
Okay.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first? You go first.
Well, mine's just kind of a joke, but I was going to say my shake and bake of the week is Daniel Ricciardo's right and left hands.
Brutal.
/ Ferrari of the week.
That's a zinger. Yeah, it could be both. The honorable mention that I had, well, now it's also not the most serious, but I was going to say the Paddock boys and the Rain. Just
yeah,
it's great teamwork between those guys.
I'm gonna go with shake and bake of the week. Haas, so K-Mag and Nico just doing what they do every week.
Yeah, mediocrity.
Finishing without any points at all.
That makes sense.
I didn't hear about them at all this race either.
They were there.
They were there.
Allegedly.
A lot of drivers were there that we didn't know were there.
Yeah, what's crazy is there was so
This
much
is gonna
action.
be a recurring theme.
It was weird that there was so much action, but I still couldn't tell you a single thing about those guys' drive this
yeah,
weekend.
just irrelevant drives.
Haas had a bye week.
They did.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Every team gets one bye week. Haas chooses that every week.
They've taken a couple bye weeks, yeah. Before we get out of here, I have a brand new segment for us to try out. It is called the Social Pit Stop, where I'm going to deliver, or you will deliver, depending on the week, a social media post from someone related to the F1 community. In this case, this is a tweet from a driver, and I want you to try to guess who the driver was.
Okay.
So this tweet was tweeted on April 17th, 2012.
Okay.
It is a picture, like one of those old, almost like motivational poster pictures, just with words.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, racing, because football, baseball, bowling, and golf only require one ball.
Mm-hmm.
And the driver posted the picture and said, I like, with an exclamation point.
This
That's
is
it.
2012?
This is 2012.
Oh, man. So who would have been driving in 2012? Hamilton would have
Well,
been there.
I didn't say they were driving in 2012.
Oh, they were. Oh,
This was
that's
just
a big-
tweeted.
That's a big clue.
This was just tweeted by a driver in
Was it
2012.
Ricardo?
It was not.
Was it Hamilton? I feel like would never get posted. Was it Alonso? I feel like he's kind of like doesn't give a fuck.
No, this is funny because this guy like wouldn't make a balls joke.
Yeah. Oh, is it Esteban Ocon?
Maybe I should reiterate. This guy just wouldn't make a joke ever.
Bottas? Who
No,
is
he's
it?
funny. Verstappen.
Wow.
I'm so pissed. I was literally just gonna say
Yeah,
that.
it's this picture that says, first of all, racing. Why bowling and golf? Were they
One
just
ball.
were they just trying to rack up every sport with one ball?
Yeah.
Yeah, but like okay, tennis,
One ball.
one ball, way more popular than fucking
And
bowling.
Why
dude.
did bowling make it on there?
I don't know, but he liked it. I like. It
I
also
like.
has the huge happy face.
I think the D as the face.
Yeah, this also makes me feel like, obviously, Max he's Dutch. Did he not really speak English 11 years ago? Yeah, like I'm picturing like a young.
This funny.
Right, I'm picturing a young Max Verstappen before he really spoke English. Maybe, and maybe I'm wrong about
This
that.
meme
Just-
funny.
I like.
Yeah. Wait, was Borat 2012? I feel like Borat came out like 2012.
Might be.
So
It
it might be like
might
a
be.
little like I
Jab,
like.
little nod.
I think it was Borat was earlier than that. I think 2006. Yeah, but there was
way further
but
ago.
those movies were
That was still popular.
that
We were
was
still
definitely
quoting
popular.
Borat.
Maybe I liked to see a world where 11 year ago, Max Verstappen was just watched Borat and he saw this thing and was like, I like. With that being said, that was Social Pit Stop. It's meant to be fast, unlike a Ferrari pit stop, and it was zing. High five.
High five.
Here we are. We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. See you, boys.
Have a good one. See you on the grid. We hope you enjoyed the effing podcast. Check out our socials for additional content, and we will see you out on the grid.